Welcome once again to the Liberty Lounge Podcast. I'm Johnny B, and however you found us, get yourself subscribed. This is our third try, and here's why. Get yourself subscribed, whether you're on Apple or
Spotify.
Yeah, that's not doing it for me at all. Anthony out in California. Anthony, say hello. What's the best thing going on in your life right now?
Life, family, guns, and that's pretty much it right now because the rest of the society is collapsing.
Down the pooper. The entire society is down the pooper. Jared, what is not down the pooper for you? What's going good?
I got two friends in town, and we've put about 1,500 miles on our motorcycles the last couple of days.
How was the Corvette Museum? You went to the Corvette Museum.
Really, really cool. As a Corvette owner, it's a place you always want to go to, and I'm glad I did because there's a couple one-off cars there. There are cars that they lost when the sinkhole happened, 8 years ago now, and a couple of them they rebuilt. GM redid those, but some are still standing, which was pretty
Did you have to put on jorts and some New Balance shoes to walk through there?
No, they were. We rode up a motorcycle, so they were probably afraid to ask.
Gotcha. All right, I'm Johnny B from the YouTube, and we're going to do something fun today. These guys have no idea what we're going to talk about, and I think it may rustle some jimmies that I'm not sure. You and I have a mutual friend, Jack, and Jack is he is a high level tester of gear, like probably who sees more gear in the real world than he does? I mean, it's a lot of gear. He can rattle flashlights, revolvers, pistols, rifles, triggers. He got rattling about buttstocks the other day, and I'm like, Jack, give it a rest, dude. It's a piece of plastic. It's not just a piece of plastic. It's in contact with your body. He says this. You've got the technical data package, the TDP, for any piece of equipment. It's the actual data on how that gun is supposed to run. As Clint Smith at Thunder Ranch says, when God and Eugene Stoner created the AR, they also created a technical data package. And there's only two companies that have the original technical data package. Everything else is been reversed engineered. Now, here's my point. He says this, Jack says this, he said, anything you do to your rifle or pistol that's outside the technical data package, adding in a new trigger, changing your slide, changing anything, it's a bad idea and you're taking your life in your hands. And he says you should not be working on your firearms. That said, I work on mine all the time. I add triggers to every AR I have, gets a new trigger. What's your knee-jerk reaction, Jared? They're saying, people that know this business says that we should not change our pistols.
The premise is sound because not everybody, I mean, we all do it, but not everybody knows as much as they probably think they do, right? Everybody's listening right now. I built 14 of my guns. Yes, you probably did.
1,200 rounds.
Yeah.
Never a problem.
Well, you probably did, but did you check your head spacing? And that's a big thing because your gun could eventually blow up. Like James Yeager was big on that too when he was alive. Do not mess with your gun.
I didn't know that.
Leave it as factory. They know more than you. That's how they made it to run and be dependable. And you don't work for them. So there is some value to that thought process.
Anthony, where are you at? Does everybody in your life think they're a gunsmith? Because everybody that I know, including me, thinks they're a gunsmith.
I mean, I would have to know a lot of gun owners in California, and that's kind of few and far between. But I think it's just two different school of thoughts. I know when I go to a lot of training courses, there are some instructors who share that same ideology where it's whatever your self-defense gun is, whatever your main training gun, pick something stock, buy something off the shelf because that company makes that, builds thousands of them every single month, sells millions of them. They are the experts. And then there's the other school of thought where it's like, okay, if you are a competent gun owner and you've, fiddled with guns enough and you've built 15, 16, 17, 100, like some of us, we can put in different triggers. It's not that complicated to put in triggers into ARs or to a Glock handgun. There are people who build polymer 80s or 3D print guns. So I think there's levels to everything. What I recommend a new gun owner build something. And I think we've had this kind of discussion before, like when we talk about like our favorite builds and stuff. I don't recommend a new gun owner build something from scratch and use that as their primary self-defense gun or training gun. It's probably better for them to buy something off the shelf. But even with that, there's levels like we've talked about of QC and quality of certain handguns and rifles. A BCM is not the same as a BCA. A Geisley is not even the same necessarily as a Smith and Wesson. So, I mean, there's two different camps. I'm probably leaning more towards if you're competent enough and you've spent time with firearms, you can change out triggers, you can change out barrels and do all that stuff. And definitely you can change out grips and stocks and all that because you're not going to mess up a whole lot changing those types of things.
I think you saying that if you're competent enough, I think most guys think that they are. And you use the word fiddle. If you've fiddled with enough guns, and I'm starting to get twitchy, and I'm like, ay. Potentially bump goes in, something goes bump in the night. You got to get up and you got to go solve the problem in the living room. And there's a bad guy tweaked out on meth in there, and you're going to be like, I done fiddled with a gun. I changed out my gas block. And the gun goes click, and instead of going bang, and it is a problem. Here's what's funny is yesterday I was trying to do some research, and I was looking at some gunsmithing kind of stuff and some 80% stuff, and I clicked on a couple of articles, and I'm like, that bench looks really familiar. Wait, that's my hands. And it was me, and I'd forgotten that I had done so much. I ended up watching a couple of videos a few years ago, Pew Pew Tactical. I hadn't thought about this in like 3 years. Pew Pew Tactical hired me to do a couple different 80% pistols, a couple different 80% rifles, and those are two separate, very separate. So I've done a bunch of stuff. I've built probably as many ARs as you guys have. Stuff happens, stuff breaks. Jared, you built one and things didn't go right.
Yeah, I had a gun that I built. It was like a channel theme gun with my logo on the lower and everything. And I used red anodized parts just to piss everybody off. And I goofed up the installation on my gas block and didn't know it until I went to test it at the range, and it wouldn't operate. So, if you do change things out or build your own stuff, just make sure you run a sufficient amount of stuff through it at a range to just dummy check.
What is a sufficient amount? Because guys will hit me all the time and go, I've got 50 rounds through it, never a problem. You're wrong, Johnny.
No, I'd say a case at least.
1,000 rounds?
At least, minimum. Just to make sure that you've heated it up. You put some wear on the springs, your parts are starting to wear in together to make sure it still functions.
Speaking of parts, the last trigger that I put into one of my ARs, I got at Brownells. I shop there. I know you guys do as well. I love Brownells. What do you get there?
A lot of stuff. My wife wants me to put them on my taxes as a dependent this year.
Big thank you to the folks out in Grinnell, Iowa. We love Brownells, and y'all will too when you visit there. Anthony, what have you been buying at Brownells lately?
I think the last thing I bought from them was a Geisley trigger for an AR. So,
I love the Geisley triggers. I love that. Yeah.
Especially when they're on sale.
Yes. Black Friday is coming up soon. So big thank you to the folks at Brownells. Love those folks.
We want to thank the sponsor of today's show, Patriot Mobile. For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Patriot Mobile is a new supporter of the Liberty Lounge, and we are proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all three major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military veterans and first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan that meets your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/liberty or call 972-PATRIOT. You can get free activation when you use the offer code LIBERTY. Join me and make the switch today.
Yeah, I think this thing, people get twitchy, and I don't know if this conversation is bothering people, but people get really twitchy because everybody thinks, I forget that the phenomenon, there's a psychological phenomenon, it's been researched, and it's the if you get a modicum, a tiny little bit of skill at something, your confidence skyrockets. It's like your day 2, day 3, the second rifle you build, the second pistol you build, you have extreme confidence. And it's not until you learn a lot that your confidence plummets again. And we have this inverse idea. We learn a little bit, we build one AR, and suddenly we are, and guys tend to do that. Guys tend to be pretty freaking confident when you come to, I can figure that out. I watched a YouTube video. I didn't know until a little bit ago, this is what we're going to talk about today. And unironically, this morning, I had the entire gas system out on my bench out of an AK, and I was getting ready to drill out a roll pin and put in a whole new adjustable gas system into this AK that I have. And I'm a gunsmith, and I was watching a YouTube video, and I was like, crap, I got to go. It's lunchtime. I got to roll. And tonight when I get home, I'm going to be drilling out a roll pin inside of a gas system, inside of a Galil Ace Gen 2 AK. Jared, would you trust your life with that gun after I'm done?
No.
No, just
No.
like that. My hands are in the articles where they're showing gunsmithing.
If I took your truck and decided to rebuild your engine, would you trust your kid's life to that vehicle?
Yes, because I trust you and I love you as a friend, and I choose to trust Jared.
Yeah, okay.
Anthony, you're not trusting my gun? I'm working on it. I'm drilling stuff out. I've got metal shavings out on the bench now.
Yeah, Johnny, I totally trust you.
See, and that's my point. Exactly. We wouldn't trust each other to rebuild a gun, but we'll smash something together. And I've watched guys just destroy things on benches, and they finally get it back together, and they're like, good as new. I put in a new trigger. And
Well, I think it's different. Like if you told me, hey, I'm putting a new trigger in my AR, I think that is enough, or it's not drilling into the gas block. Putting in a different trigger, or if you're like, hey, I changed the grip, or I put a different upper or something, or I changed, the flash hider or the muzzle brake on it. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong. Something like that, I was like, I don't know. Johnny over here breaking for lunch, going getting some chicken wings, something, going back, trying to drill it. Yeah, I don't know.
I am a gunsmith extraordinaire. I've done a lot, and I think the question is we wouldn't trust each other. Why do we trust ourselves? Stay with the technical data package. I'm not saying that. I mean, I've got guns that I've done a lot of stuff to. My bedside gun, my bedside pistol. See what you guys think about this. Is 100% stock. I have it on this one. It's an FN 509. But if it was a Glock, I would just push the sights out, and if y'all don't know how they work, they just slide in and out. I would hammer out the sights and smash in some night sights, and that's it. I will not, and this is a law. This is a law for me. AR triggers, man, if you know how to do it, you know how to do it.
Yeah, it's easy. It's drop in.
The AR was designed for 18-year-old grunts to take apart without tools, and in the field, to field strip. You can field strip with a shell, with a 223 shell. But pistols are a different story. I have a rule. My gun that I'm going to carry on my person or lay next to my bed, sights only. What do you think?
Well, if I'm talking about my bedside gun right now, it's stock other than a red dot and a can. It's from JMac Customs. It's their AK that they built.
That's because he has money. I have a little plastic pistol next to mine. You got a JMac. How nice is that thing?
Because I have friends.
You have good
You guys
friends.
didn't catch the humble brag as a Corvette owner earlier.
Very expensive, but they're great people. But my pistol that's in my bedside, it's my 43X. The only thing I did was it's an MOS, so I threw a red dot on it. So
yeah, and I don't consider that monkeying with the gun.
And a white light.
I will not touch anything inside, and I think that's a rule. And I tell people that all the time, that I will not touch anything inside of a pistol if it's a carry gun. If it's a range gun, do whatever you want. Anthony, what do you think about my policy? Don't monkey with the internals of pistols.
I think the main internals that we're talking about I think we are focusing on the trigger component. Is that your main concern, or are you talking about things like mag releases, slide locks, all of those things like on pistols too? You don't mess with any of that?
If it's a carry gun, I will not even open it up other than to clean it.
Yeah, because some people will dink and dunk with their recoil spring weight and their trigger bar and polishing the crucifix or the cruciform on the Glock, and those are things that I wouldn't do for me personally, for a carry gun. If your mileage may vary out there, but I don't want to be that one person that one time, and we've all had that dream that one time I need it, it doesn't go off. Yeah. I just don't want that to happen.
I'll change out a barrel in a Glock. I'll change out in barrels I'm fine with because it either works or it doesn't. I'll change out the spring when it needs it, or the guide rod. I'll switch the guide rod from plastic to metal. Mm-hmm. But anything below the slide, I will not monkey with. I have them that I've monkeyed with. I've got a SIG P320 that is ridiculously not stock. It's got everything that you can do to it. It's been done. I don't carry it, and I'm not going to carry it. So that's my point, Anthony. Nothing below the slide.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think it would be dishonest of me to say I 100% agree, because I've carried modified guns and I've used modified guns also as like my bedside. Now, that being said, those are also guns that I've taken to a lot of training courses. They got a lot of rounds through them. And I mean, on most of them, I can't even think of a single malfunction that I've had. I think it's also harder for me, specifically also in California, because you talk about like Glock MOS systems where you just put on a red dot. We're stuck to like Gen 3 Glocks. So we're going to have to change out the slide anyways, or get the slide milled if you want to put on a red dot. So most of the times, again, not a sponsor, I go and buy, I mean, is a sponsor, but not an ad read. I'll go buy the Brownells Gen 3 slides that already have the red dot, milled out. So you can put that on there. So I'll run that mostly on most of my Glocks. Like Johnny, you mentioned, I have no problem changing out barrels. Most of the time I'll put like a Radiant Ramjet afterburner on my bedside, and it has, their spring that goes specifically with theirs. And I have complete faith in Radiant products because they are high quality, and those, from their ARs to all the other things that they make, they just run and they're awesome. I agree. I don't necessarily mess with the triggers that much. I do have an agency trigger on one of my guns that I have carried, but again, has a lot of rounds through it. I think the thing I don't agree with is I think you can change things like slide locks and mag releases pretty easily without completely screwing up the function of the firearm. But yeah, as far as changing trigger components and all those other things, I would say for most people, a stock Glock trigger will do you well enough. I mean, they're not great, but they're good enough.
I think a lot of folks would never admit you have a stock gun, a gun that works, not a Jimenez, but like you have a Glock. You have a Glock, it's going to work. Every time you pull the trigger, it will go bang. And I think you literally can bet your life on that. Get a Glock out of the box, straight from the store. It will go bang every time you click it. Everything else you do to it, there is a possibility that it doesn't work. And believe me, I love working on guns. I do it. I'm doing it today, literally doing it today. I'm just saying, rule of thumb, my opinion is it's better for something that you're going to have to protect your children with. Stay within the technical data package from Glock. And I know that, Anthony said he's got a bazillion rounds to them and they work. I've got a bazillion rounds to guns that I've worked on. They work just fine. I'm saying it is a good policy to stay within the TDP.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And one of my best ARs is one that I built. I put everything together on my own. I went through the whole class to become a certified armorer, but
You're a certified armorer?
Yes.
I didn't know that. With who?
With Blackwater, actually, back in the day.
I had no idea I was sitting with royalty. Yeah. You're a blacksmith or a blacksmith.
Yeah, I hammered out my own barrel.
Or a gunsmith, either one. So you're an armorer. I did not know that. And it runs?
It really runs. I love that gun, but it's not by my bedside.
I'll tell you, putting a gas block onto an AR barrel is not the easiest thing the first time, especially if it's not dimpled. And putting on a roll pin for the first time, it's not that easy.
Especially if you don't have the right tools that make it easier, the jigs that make it easy for you. You're fighting that thing and it's rotating every time you try to smash that roll pin in.
It is an absolute hassle. I remember the very first AR I built. I got any guesses? Any guesses, Anthony, on the brand? I was building my first AR. There's only one answer.
Anderson.
Come on, Anthony.
I mean, I don't know. This might have been like 80 years ago or something like that.
Arsenal. The millennial has spoken, and he just called us a bunch of old dumb geezers, and we should probably go watch Jeopardy or something. Just get it over with. Wheel of Fortune comes on at 7. So I built an Anderson, and I got a CMMG parts kit, an Anderson lower, and a complete Anderson upper. Parts kit on, snapped on the upper, and I told everybody that I built an AR. Did I really? If I'm not like cranking that barrel down, did I really build an AR, or did I just install a lower parts kit?
Yeah, you did a lower parts kit.
Yeah.
Legos.
I didn't realize that for a few years. Anthony?
Yeah, I agree too. Like, as far as if you're going to have a complete or a build that you're going to trust your life with, I think that's probably as far as you should go as like what you build. Like the lower that you put the parts kit in, have the complete upper. Because there's way more things I think can go wrong with the upper than the lower. It's pretty easy to put in the trigger and all that other stuff. So I think if you're going to trust a build with your life, unless you have a ton of experience or you're a Blackwater certified armorer, fed, you should. I think you should stick to just maybe the lower builds. And a lot of, like Jared said, a lot of my favorite guns and the ones that I train with a lot and that just run are pretty much that, where I just buy the complete upper from BCM or Sons of Liberty or Daniel Defense, and then I'll build out the lower with the trigger that I want, the grip I want, the radian safety, ambi safeties that I want, um, and things like that. I run a bad lever, and I know some people hate bad levers, but I
No,
run.
why? All right, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah,
Viewers, question of the day. How wrong is Anthony? He's running a bad lever. It's an idea where it makes it ambidextrous. All it's going to do is just monkey up your gun. Anthony, come on. You can't have a bad lever on there.
I run them. I've run them a long time. I've run them in a lot of training courses. I've never had issues. I
Run 50 rounds, never an issue.
yeah, I definitely only run 50
20
rounds.
round qual. I'm pretty good.
And I think a part of that too was for a long time it was hard to find ambi lowers in California. It was hard to find like the radian lowers where that are ambi and all that. Now you're seeing those trickle in a lot more. So I'm gonna buy one of those and probably end up moving completely to something like that.
Why do you need ambi? Because I don't think you shoot left-handed, do you?
Well, so no, well, I don't, but I also have the fin grip, so it makes it a little bit hard. Like I don't have my thumb around or all that, so I'm always locked to this side. I just find that it's faster for reloads. Same thing why people run ambies with the bolt released on one side, because you just drop the mag and then when you insert, you can drop it with your finger. Same thing with the bad
More
lever.
things
I
to
think
break. That's more things to break and tear up.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I know a lot of people that run them. I know a lot of people that swear by them. I have no issues with them.
I
think it,
shoot ARs. A lot of folks know this. I shoot ARs left-handed, but I am right-handed, and so I probably am the most ambidextrous person on a rifle that you will literally ever meet. I'm back and forth. I was at Thunder Ranch training last week, and I went down Thunderville, putting through all the different holes, and I just switched. I do it very comfortably, but the way that I train in my muscle memory, I don't touch ambi controls. My main rifle has ambi safety on it. I won't touch the left hand side because I don't want to train into my body this muscle memory, and then if you go down in a fight and have to pick up your gun, I'm all confused. So I only work with stock controls, and I'm doing that for a purpose. What do you think about that, Jared?
Yeah, it's smart.
Plus, there's no bad lever, which is a bad decision.
I'm really not. I mean, people love them. I'm not a fan of them because you have to train your trigger finger to do something else in that trigger well area other than make it go bang.
For people that don't know, the bad lever is a bad decision, and Anthony should go sit in the corner and repent. Tomorrow is Sunday, Anthony. I want you to repent at church. But you've got the trigger well where you have the trigger, and now you got another piece of metal in there, and you're having to do stuff with your finger inside the trigger well. That's a problem.
I think it was Curtis, VSO Curtis like 2 years ago, did a video on why they're terrible. And Kurt's a scientist. For those people who don't know Kurt, he's extremely smart, one of the smartest dudes I know. And he, other than when he's drinking, but it was solid. The stuff he put forward was pretty well based. It's just, I want that trigger finger to do only one thing, and that's just for me though.
See, my thought is, people say that, but like our trigger finger releases the mag, and like people are like, oh, you're going like who would jerk? I mean, I guess there are people who would jerk a bag lever like this, like they're pulling a trigger, but that's not how you train. I think a lot of it comes down to like knowledge of like anything. When you train, you're not going like this to the bad lever. You're essentially swiping it down the same way you would swipe if you have an ambi lower, like on a radian or something like that. A lot of them are swipes, so you're swiping down. The same thing with the bad lever. I've never had issues. I've seen a lot of people in training courses that run them. I've never seen issues. I feel like the bad lever things that we've seen on the internet tends to be newer shooters who, during that period of when they grew in popularity, which was like kind of like early gun tube, because when did that product come out? It was probably
10 years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking early gun tube and all that stuff when they got really popular. I don't think that there was a lot of knowledge about like how to run them effectively and how to use them and the proper way to use them. And I think that's where we saw a lot of those bad stories come out. So, I mean, I know a lot of very credible trainers who run them and swear by them. If you don't have an ambi lower,
no, you don't. There's not a credible trainer that runs a bad lever.
I've seen Rick Crowley from Achilles Heel Tactical run him. He does the Ohio Range Day. My boy Kyle Manzano Tactical. He's run them.
They are trolling you, and you fell for it.
Okay.
Well, the same thing. Like, I used to run a Serpa holster years and years ago.
Yeah, but you were a cop.
But still, I saw cops shoot themselves in the legs during training with a Serpa holster. And when people started running those, they were like, oh, who's going to pull the trigger when they push that button and draw? It happens quite a bit, to the point where most credible schools don't even allow Serpa holsters anymore.
I have a Serpa holster for my Jericho, and because it's the one that's on the market that's actually will hold the big 3-pound Jericho, and that I've used once. But I'm telling you, when I go to release it, I'm very, very careful that I don't shoot myself.
Yeah. And this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. Like I said, it was one of those things kind of out of necessity, where now, since a lot of the ambi lowers are coming on the market heavily in California, I'm switching to those anyways. So I'm not tied to the bad lever at all. It was just kind of a solution to a problem for what I wanted to do with my certain builds. But like Johnny, I do think there's a lot of credence to what Johnny was saying about train how you would fight. I don't think you want to be dependent on ambi bolt releases or anything like that. I think it's better, for my opinion, I think new shooters should learn how to shoot on the traditional platforms, like traditional bolt releases, have that into fundamentals, into your muscle memory before you start moving to other things. Because the manual of arms are different.
Run the bolt, use the charging handle. It's the easiest way to do it. You're not worried about fine motor skills. A lot of people are going to get pissed about that too. I do it. Yes, you do. But as a whole, it's easier. I've trained a lot of people who are new on guns, and it's easier to teach them to, run the slide, grip it, it, or to run the charging bolt and let it go, than it is to, have them focus on the paddle to release on an AR, or, load the mag and then hit the slide release. It's just easier to do the gross motor skill stuff.
I have a question, because that brings up, that's a whole nother gross versus fine motor skills. Jared, do you still run the slide? I think we've been to some training course, and I think I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I still do. It's just the way I trained for 30 years. And when, there are going to be a lot of people like, but I have been in situations where you lose, your hands turn into oven mitts, and it's easier just to grab it and rip it than it is to fumble around and not have the feeling you do in your fingertips.
See, I'm a slide release guy, and I think, again, it comes down to, when did you come up in the firearms industry? Like, because you guys came up during a period where it was gospel to run the slide. When I was coming up, it was the newer age. You don't do that anymore. You don't have to do that. Why are you removing your hand from the slide? You can do fine motor skills. And so that's kind of what I came up on, just like that training mentality. And now I think it's a blend. It's like a blend of it. It's moved to.
I'd say the ones that say only do fine motor skills haven't been in shootings.
Yeah, one of the things, and I don't know this from personal experience, but you start losing blood, or things going wacky, or you get shot, you won't be able to do this, but you can still, the last thing you'll be able to do with your hand before you lose your hand is you're going to be able to grab that slide and roll it. For me, thanks, Anthony, that you asked Jared, but you didn't ask me. I'll answer it anyway. Pistol, I'm grabbing and rolling that slide. AR, magazine in. God and Eugene Stoner put that bolt release right there. So I'm mag in, release the bolt, and I'm rolling. And I'm only touching the charging handle to load it the first time.
Yeah,
that's good.
I agree.
Congrats.
Thanks, Johnny, for your answer. Anyways, Jared, how do you do?
I think I'm going to quit. I think this might be, ladies and gentlemen, this may be my final episode. Forever.
Drama, let me go.
Yeah, I may just go into the bathroom, put my head in the toilet, and hold it under until the bubbles stop. All right, we have kind of touched on this. Do you guys, and this is how I think, we're talking today about thoughts, mentalities. I really, big time, have a bifurcation in my safe and in my mind of guns that I'm willing to use in a gunfight and range toys. I say with range toys, do whatever you want, monkey with them, try this out, try different triggers, adjust things, do whatever you want. But do you guys, in your mind, in your own collections, have a massive delineation between the two, or is it all just a big pile?
You've seen my safes, man. They're big piles. But
not literally, they're not literally separated, but in your mind.
In my mind, there are guns that I know I have that I won't take if I'm going on my bike right now to Asheville or something like that.
Anthony, do you have range guns versus fun guns versus self-defense guns?
Yeah, and it's funny when you said maybe I thought I was the only weird one who did that, but my safe is literally split versus firearms that I would trust with my life versus things that are just fun, whatever. So, like even in this one right here, the small safe, it's on the left side, it's ARs that I pretty much trust my life with. And then on the right side, there are some other ARs that, and they're range toys, they're extras that I would take sometimes with I'm taking someone, to the range and I want a beater rifle or handgun or whatever. The Keltec is in this one too on the right side because it never gets touched. Um, I think I have a 22 on this right side also that I rarely touch just because it's not my main 22 I would shoot with. So yeah, I mean, I literally have them separated and definitely in my mind too, where it's, and we all play that game. It's like, if things were to pop off in our society, what's the first one we're going to grab? And I don't want to be digging through a pile. Like, where is that one? It's for me, especially in this safe, it's pretty easy. The one out in the garage is a little bit more complicated. It is a little bit of a pile.
Don't tell the ATF where all your safes are.
They're right behind him. I can see them.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I live alone, which means I'm very single. So if any of y'all have an aunt or a mom, let me know. I don't want to be single the rest of my life. I'm there alone. And so Anthony's like, hey, the safe is this way and that way. Yeah, the safe's got stuff in it, but my main AR, it stays out. It is out next to the bed, ready to rock and roll. And that's kind of cool. I know people that have small kids, they don't get to live like that. And I had kids in the house for years. But I'm in a really cool situation now where my main rock and roll rifle and my main rock and roll pistol is sitting out. And I think that's a pretty good place to be. Jared, you got a problem with that?
No, not at all. I think, the forced firearm safety laws are for people who are dumb enough to need government to tell them what to do. If you're a grown ass adult and you have kids, then you would probably know what you need to do to make sure your kids can't access your firearm. So yeah, having them out, you're solo, you're single, there's nobody else really coming in your place. That's fine.
Anthony, you're getting ready to have a kid. We talked about that a few weeks ago on here. Are you going to have to change things up the way you're storing firearms? What's going to change in your life when that child arrives?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that we brought this up because it was something I was thinking about the other day because here at the office, I have a lot more leeway with what I do because no kid is going to be here at the office, but at the main house where I'm with my wife and the kid, definitely going to have to figure out different stored stuff, changing habits where Johnny said, before I could have things out if I wanted to have things out. Now you got to shift the mentality of making sure everything's locked up, but still accessible enough to where if you need to get to it, you can get to it. So yeah, there's definitely some things that are going to have to shift. And the good thing about being in this industry is, we can figure that out. And we know companies that make reputable safes or quick access systems and all that stuff that, I'm going to try to figure out what's best for, but it is different. And I'll lean on people's experience like Jared and other people who, Johnny with certain safes or whatever other people are doing. So yeah, definitely have to switch the mentality, which is interesting.
I don't know if we rustle jimmies today. I know that guys get really twitchy if you even suggest to them that maybe they're not a gunsmith because they screwed one on one time. For me, I always think the person that did this did 150 that day, and he did 150 the day before, and he literally feeds his kids. I do one a year, two a year, and I just think it's really important, or it's at least worth thinking about your gunsmith skills versus having to protect your family in the middle of the night. If we offended you, good. I hope it made you think, and I hope it made you challenge your personal beliefs. I'm certainly challenged when we have these conversations. On behalf of the arms scholar Anthony out in California, to my left, Jared of Guns and Gadgets. Big thank you to both of our sponsors today. Get yourself subscribed. I'm Johnny B, and we'll see you soon.